And now looking at the Punch newspaper on business segment, FG meets local refiners over pricing faults Dangote.
All right, Kano commits over 1 billion naira to transform health sector.
And in the Punch newspaper, I've got this headline still on the side passing away of the senior custom officer. Customs mourn as senior officer dies at reps investigative hearing.
All right, over 70% of Nigerian households involved in agricultural practices. That's coming from NBS.
And on business segment as well, CBN project lower inflation size reforms attract $24 billion inflow.
All right, so police operatives return 810,000 allegedly extorted from Nigerian. That's a commendable there.
On customs impounds 21,810 liters of PMS tanker bunkers. Okay, found in the Tribune newspaper.
Article urges governors to respect traditional institutions.
All right, and let's also look at the Punch newspaper. Okay, cops accused of extorting Anambra businessman of 810,000 naira face probe.
All right, to federal government to be able to consult governors. So hope that, of course, a lot has been promised will be done. All right, Daniel laments low enlistment of Southwest youths in the military and the police.
Okay, and in the Daily Post newspaper, looking at political stories, LP crisis, Peter Obi names 3 people to decide Abure's fate.
All right, this and many more we shall be bringing to your listening detailed in a moment. Do stay with us.
Okay, now we begin this morning with the Punch newspaper, and on this particular story is a major story you find in all the dailies this morning. It's on minimum wage. Labor kicks as fake steps down memo demands consultation. Okay, with the rider failure to discuss memo giving room for speculations, NLC tells government. The organized labor on Tuesday kicked against the Federal Executive Council's decision to step down the memorandum on the report of the Tripartite Committee on New National Minimum Wage. The head of public relations of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Belsin Upa, who criticized the failure of EC to consider the memo during Tuesday's FEC meeting, said stepping down the Tripartite Committee report creates room for injurious speculations. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, told journalists after the council meeting that the FEC stepped down the memorandum on the new minimum wage to allow for more consultations between President Bola Tinubu, state governors, local government authorities, and the private sector. Idris said the council deferred acting on the memo, given that the federal government is not the sole stakeholder on the national minimum wage issue. The federal government, organized private sector, and labor had held several meetings on the new minimum wage, with the NLC and Trade Union Congress leaders insisting on 250,000 naira. Minimum wage, labor kicks as fake, steps down memo, demands consultation. Okay, you can read for more in the Punch newspaper.
All right, so from Daily Post newspaper, still on new minimum wage, labor to hold emergency meeting over facts decision. The organized labor, made up of Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and Trade Union Congress, TUC, have called for an emergency meeting. This follows the decision of the Federal Executive Council, FEC, to step down the memo on the minimum wage on Tuesday. According to Newsman, the meeting will be held at 10 a.m. this morning at the NLC headquarters. A report also says that the Minister of Information National Orientation Mohammed Idris today said all 39 items on the agenda for the meeting were all taken except the memo on the minimum wage. Idris said FEC could not decide on it because it involved local government, state, federal government, organized private sector, and labor unions. He said the memo on the new minimum wage was stepped down so the president, Bola Tinubu, could consult widely before final submission is made to the National Assembly. Kindly read for more this morning from Daily Post newspaper.
And in continuation of that story, we expect new minimum wage implementation by July end in labor. The organized labor movement has expressed the expectation of Nigerian workers that the new minimum wage will be announced, passed into law, and its implementation begin before the end of July 2024. President of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, Comrade Festus Osifo, made this known when he received the special advice on labor matter from the Kogi State Governors, Ono Edoka, and his delegation, who were in his office on Tuesday in Abuja for a courtesy visit. Osifo said there was a need for the National Tripartite Negotiation Committee, made up of government, labor, and organized labor, to find a common ground so that the bill would receive prompt attention from President Bola Tinubu as well as the National Assembly and be passed into law. We expect new minimum wage implementation by July ending, says Labour. You can get details in the Tribune newspaper.
All right, of course, let's check this one. CBN will use the conventional methods to tame inflation. That's coming from Cardozo. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Olayemi Cardozo, has reiterated the determination of the bank's Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, to tame inflation through conventional method. A statement from the CBN's Corporate Communication Department said Cardozo stated in an interview with Bloomberg in London on Tuesday while sharing key insight on the current state of the market, focusing on stability of the naira and inflation. He noted that the deceleration of the month-on-month inflation rate, highlighting it is a positive development, assuring the MPC members remained vigilant in monitoring the inflation trend and ensure a moderation of inflation members. Read for more this morning from Daily Post newspaper.
And now still looking at the Punch newspaper this morning, Senate didn't approve new presidential jet, says Akpabio. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio said on Tuesday that the Senate had not approved the purchase of new presidential jets for the use of President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima. It described as malicious reports, quoting him to have said the National Assembly would approve the purchase of new aircraft for the President and Vice President irrespective of the harsh economic situation in the country. The alleged report comes in the wake of the recommendation by the House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence to buy new aircraft for the President and Vice President as the existing presidential jets are faulty and unsafe for use. Last week, President Tinubu flew to South Africa for the inauguration of President Cyril Ramaphosa in a private jet. Senate didn't approve new presidential jet, says Akpabio. Punch has details.
And of course, from Punch newspaper, exempt varsities from IPPIS fulfill agreement, ASU tells federal government. The Academic Staff Union of Universities have urged federal government to fulfill its promise to remove its members from the integrated payroll and personnel information system. The chairman of ASU Federal University Lokoja chapter, Dr. Joshua Silas, made a call on a Tuesday during a protest by members of the union at FUL Full Camp in Fulele and Lokoja. Addressing newsmen after the protest, the chairman urged the federal government to implement the renegotiation of 2019 agreement reached with the national ASU to prevent the resumption of suspended industrial action. According to him, the agreement include the removal of ASU from IPPIS outstanding academic allowances, revitalization of fund, a payment of promotion arrears balance, as well as withheld salaries, among others. Read for more this morning from Punch newspaper.
And joining you on education story, student loan NEL fund postpones application for state facilities. The management of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund on Tuesday announced a 14-day postponement of the application process for student loans for state institutions. According to a statement by the agency in Abuja, the development was due to low data submissions. Nelfon said the decision was necessitated by the failure of several state-owned institutions to upload the required students' data and fee information to a student verification system. The statement reads, to date, only a limited number of state-owned institutions have successfully completed the data submission process. These include 20 state universities out of 48, 12 state colleges out of 54, and 2 state polytechnics out of 49. While we acknowledge the effort of these institutions, the failure to submit data from the remaining state institutions poses significant challenges to ensuring a seamless and accurate verification process for student loan applicants. Student loan never postpones application for state facilities. You can read for more in the Punch newspaper.
And now from the Nation newspaper, National Assembly to get supplementary budget on Tuesday. A supplementary appropriation bill containing requests for a new presidential jet may be forwarded to the National Assembly tomorrow. It was learned last night during his May 29 speech to the joint sitting of the Senate and House of Representatives of the National Assembly complex. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu told lawmakers to expect the extra budget for the 2024 fiscal year. The money for the jet will be included in the supplementary appropriation. 3 of the aircraft in the PAF have been put on sale to augment the cost. Details of how the federal government plans to acquire the jet will be contained in a supplementary appropriation bill being prepared for transmission to the National Assembly ahead of its resumption from break next week, sources said. Read for more this morning from the Nation newspaper.
And now looking at the Daily Trust newspaper comes this sad headline. Please, I need water. Last request of customs officer who died at National Assembly. When ACN Etop Andrew, Deputy Controller of the Nigerian Customs Service in charge of Finance, Administration and Technical Services, walked into the National Assembly complex on Tuesday, there was no indication that he would not walk out of the parliament alive. Andrew had led a team of top customs officers to the House of Representatives for an investigative hearing by the Public Accounts Committee. The deceased and his colleagues appeared before the committee to make presentations on the revenue remittances by the service. These levies, as stated earlier, is listed as Federation account levies, and it is the responsibility of the Office of the Accountant General to say this money for sharing in FAAC, but for whatever reason that this money, which the Nigerian Customs Service has remitted into the appropriate account, was not sent to the Federation account, is what the service cannot give explanation, he had said. Chairman of the committee, Bamidele Salam, had interjected by saying, so your position is that this money was actually sent to the account provided by the Accountant General, and that the obligation of now taking it to the Federation account is out of your purview. Okay, and shortly after, he collapsed and was rushed to the House of Representatives clinic where he died. It's a sad one. Okay, you can read for more. Of course, this particular story is in all the dailies this morning, and we pray may his soul rest in peace.
Amen. As we join the Nigerian Senate to mourn him, and of course, we do not want to also hear or subsequently that people die in line of duty. But if you look at security men, it happens, more often. May God continue to protect everyone.
Amen.
Now to the Guardian newspaper. Despite denials, Sokoto Assembly considers new bill against Sultan. Atiku calls for constitutional reform to protect traditional rulers. After repeated denials by the Sokoto state government yesterday against moves to dethrone the Sultan of Sokoto, the Sokoto State House of Assembly yesterday passed for a first and second reading a bill seeking to reduce the powers of the Sultan. The bill, titled the Sokoto Emirate Council Amendment Bill, if passed into law, seeks to, among other things, strip the Sultan of powers to appoint the kingmakers, and will also strip the Sultan of powers to appoint district heads without government approval, among other things. This is as former Vice President Atiku Abubakar yesterday expressed concerns over growing trends of state government interfering with the traditional stool enthronement process. A medical vice statement issued on his ex handle, formerly Twitter, emphasizing the importance of protecting traditional institutions from the state government arbitrariness, ensuring their ability and recognizing their role in maintaining peace, security, and economic development in their domain. Read for more this morning from the Guardian newspaper.
And joining you in the Guardian newspaper, and still on the story, this story is also on traditional rulers. Southwest Group begins campaign for creation of Yoruba Obas Forum. A Southwest Group Alliance for Yoruba Democratic Movement (AYDM) has begun campaign for the creation of Oodua Council of Traditional Rulers that will coordinate the regional affairs of traditional rulers across the 6 states of Yoruba land, including Delta, Kwara, and Kogi. The AYDM, which is an alliance of 130 pan-Yoruba socio-cultural groups spread across the Old Western region, will also extend its functions to countries like Togo, Benin Republic, and Ghana, where Yoruba people are scattered. A veteran journalist and expert on peace building and conflict prevention, Adewale Adeoye, who presided over a 2-day meeting in Lagos from Monday till yesterday, said the campaign for Obas in the Southwest to have a regional body is imperative to give more meaning and respect to the traditional institution. Southwest Group begins campaign for creation of Yoruba Obas Forum. The Guardian newspaper has details.
All right, still from Guardian newspaper, Makinde makes a minor cabinet reshuffle. It comes with right now. Your government opens application portal for primary school teachers. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has approved a minor cabinet reshuffle, which affected 3 ministries in the state. Chief Press Secretary to the Governor Suleiman Olanrewaju in a statement yesterday confirmed the swapping of the portfolios of commissioners. The reshuffle saw the former Commissioner of Trade, Industry, Investment and Cooperative, Ademola Ojo, move to the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters. Ojo is a former chairman of the Association of Local Government of Nigeria. Oyo State Chapter, Segun Olaiwola, who until the reshuffle was manning the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters, has been moved to the Ministry of Establishment and Trading. The erstwhile Commissioner for Establishment and Training, Adeniyi Adebisi, has been redeployed to the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Investment and Cooperative. The reshuffle is with immediate effect. Read for more this morning from the Guardian newspaper.
And from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, I'm optimistic Nnamdi Kanu will soon be released. Deputy Speaker Kalu, with the rider allows 50 lawmakers calling for constitutional release of detained IPOB leader. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, confirmed on Tuesday that he has met with the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, a couple of times at the Department of State Security DSS facility, expressing high hopes that he will soon regain his freedom. It will be recalled that the lawmakers, reportedly led by the member representing Ikwano, Umua, South and North Radio constituency of Abia on Monday, wrote an open letter to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appealing for the release of Kanu by invoking Section 174 of the 1999 Constitution as amended and Section 107, subsection 1 of Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. I'm optimistic Nnamdi Kanu will soon be released. Deputy Speaker Kalu. Nigerian Tribune has details.
All right, so from Vanguard newspaper, Daniel laments low enlistment of Southwest youth in military and police. The senator representing Ogu East Senatorial District, Tumagbenga Daniel, has said that the southwest zone of the country has the lowest rate of enlistment in military and police force. Daniel, who is the chairman Senate Committee on Navy, stated this while featuring at a program tagged Dialogue with Journalists, organized by the Union of Journalists, Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ Ogun State Council in Abeokuta. He appealed to parents to allow their children to join the forces. The lawmaker, a former Ogun State governor, said military service, once labeled as a job for miscreant in the 60s and 70s, has produced leaders who have significantly contributed to the nation's politics and economy. Read for more from the Guardian newspaper.
And now looking at some business stories this morning, FG meets local refiners over pricing faults Dangote. The federal government on Tuesday declared that there was no importation of dirty fuel into Nigeria, countering the recent position of an official of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. It was declared that after meeting with oil marketers and local refiners of crude oil in Abuja, where parties are the meeting this quotation of products that are produced in Nigeria. Also at the meeting, oil marketers stated that though local refineries were producing some of the refined products, this will not stop marketers from patronizing other sources while also buying products from the indigenous producers. FG meets local refiners over pricing faults Dangote. You can get the details in the Punch newspaper.
All right, to a quick one. Of course, we have many stories, but we're about to switch into the second aspect of the program. And of course, this morning, 950,000 women at risk of maternal death in Zamfara. That's coming from state government. And of course, the Commissioner of Health, Dr. Aisha MZ Anka, has said that this morning. Equally, from the other dailies, the Kogi government blasted as anti-people for raising school fee. And the People's Democratic Party, as a federal House of Representative candidates for Dekina and Basa, Usman Okai Austin, has strongly criticized the decision of the Kogi state government to raise school fees for public schools, a student from 2,000 naira to 4,000. That is what we have there this morning.
All right, now we need to switch to the second segment of the program because of time, and then we'll be back after this time out to bring on our analysts. Don't go anywhere.
Relaxation is the foundation for success. It creates space for clarity, creativity, and breakthrough. Wait. When last did you get a good break? Veta's exclusive apartment is here for you and your friends, families, and guests.
Allow me to flex.
It's always a soft luxury at Veta's exclusive apartment with smart bedrooms, spacious living spaces, parking lot, and free Wi-Fi to stay connected. Well-equipped kitchen for your tasties at a serene environment with 24-hour security and power supply. So come and lodge, camp, or get a VIP rest with privacy at Veta's exclusive apartment at number 1 F1 Laye Street inside Ijapo Estate, Akure, Ondo State. For reservations, call 0902-917-7098. Tell a friend to tell a friend that Vita's exclusive apartment in Ijapo Akure is affordable, welcoming, and safe to stay for memories.
right. Thank you for sticking around. And of course, you are listening to Issues this morning with your own thoughts by calling the studio lines 0805 551 1110. 0805 551 1110. And the second line
07066777182.
We now switching to have our analyst join us this morning, public affairs analyst and also a social commentator in the person of Mr. Henry Oloni Moyo. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Mike. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right, and of course, we have read quite a number of stories from the pages of Nigerian newspapers this morning. Let's start with the Punch newspaper.
All right, Mr. Henry, the new minimum wage, the issues on the new minimum wage is still lingering. And yesterday, the Federal Executive Council steps down the memo because they said they are demanding for consultation. Now, my question is, don't you think federal government is foot dragging on this matter for long? Because in the other story we read now, the Labour said that they are expecting the implementation of the new minimum wage latest by July ending.
Yes, thank you. We always knew that the procedure or the processes involved in instituting a new minimum wage, we always knew that it was going to be a long drawn matter in the manner in which the Labour handled it and the manner in which the federal government also is handling it. We also know that it's not just an agreement to be made between just the National Labour Union and the federal government, that state governors also probably they are the most critical part of the negotiation, because largely I want to believe that the combination of the workforces of 36 state governors government is more than the federal government. So clearly there has to be agreement across board amongst these parties before there can be a way forward. And if you be observing the way the federal government has been handling it, I perceive that there is more of a coordinated approach to the way things are. From the president making a statement in his June 12 broadcast that he was sending something to the National Assembly, to the Labour, coming out to say that they've never agreed anything, and now hearing news now that there will be more consultations. It shows you that even though they claim they are meeting, they are not understanding each other properly, or someone somewhere is not coordinating the negotiations as it should. Now, whether there will be a proper agreement is another thing that for me it will be a very tall order, because state governors, some state governors are saying they cannot pay this money. They cannot even pay what the federal government is saying, and Labour has not even agreed to what the federal government is saying. And so, as it stands, I've said it previously on this show, if Labour should get anything above 100% of what it was getting before as minimum wage, you should take it, put a caveat for another review, and then move on.
All right.
Labour really, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Henry. Now, this issue now, is been lingering for long, and now Labour has scheduled an emergency meeting today, because when the strike was called off, they were promised that in the next 1 week there will be implementation. And now that you said it, that some state governors are not willing to pay this money now, and with the way many state governors are foot dragging on this issue, do you see a proper agreement? Do you see the federal government acceding to the demands of the labor unions?
I do not see it happening. That's the issue. I do not see it happening. If there were going to be an agreement, it appears that more of the compromise will have to come from the Labour. We have seen the Labour move from over 1 million to 600,000 plus to 400,000 plus, maybe to 250,000. Maybe that was the last I had. And so it appears they will still need to shift further, because we are talking of a national minimum wage. I believe very strongly that if the labor unions really want to reduce the cost of things, and they want to bridge the gap between public servants, I mean, sorry, civil servants and elected public officials. They should fight for a reduction of the earning allowances of public office holders. If I allow one, most Nigerians will join them.
And you think that would really be possible because lawmakers sit over all of these things, and they know how they are the ones, giving the share of what government has in terms of money and goodies.
Thank you. That's a very good question. And the question is, lawmakers were elected by people, and the people can recall lawmakers. That's the truth. These are desperate times. It calls for desperate measures. Because if the labor says it wants to get as high, you already hear people who have been saying it. We are talking of a minimum wage. And the question is,
are you there, Mr. Henry?
Oh, I guess that's network.
Yes, I'm with you.
All right.
So the question is, can the federal government really push minimum wage above 100,000 with the situation of things? Can they really do it? Is it sustainable? If we begin to look at this, I think what makes more sense is
Mr. Henry, I guess that phrase with the situation of things does not nullify the fact that you feel like the labor should shift. The federal government should also reduce or cut down the size of governance.
Now we are talking. If we're talking of cutting down the size of governance, that's another issue entirely, and that's what I feel we should be talking about. I'm telling you, most of the monies we say we are spending and living large on, it's largely on borrowings. Go and find out. The government is living large on borrowings. It's borrowing monies and it's living large on it. And labor is saying it once it's caught in the share. Whether it's able to win that battle in the long run, I cannot tell. And if you say want to resort to strike, the question is, who suffers more when there's a strike action? In the long run, who suffers more?
All right, let's join this issue with it, and of course, the man at the forefront of Federal University Law College chapter of the ASU, Dr. Joshua Silas is calling on for a protest on Tuesday with members, and also he's asking the federal government to exempt varsities from IPPIS and respect full agreement. Do you see like a common ground soon? Because he's asking the federal government to do this now, and he's referring, asking the government to implement the negotiations of 2019 agreement reached with the National ASU to prevent the resumption of a suspended industrial strike.
Yeah, thank you. And that's why for me, in this part of the world, I really do not understand how workers' unions or work unions like ASU, how they strategize, especially during an election year. One of the long-drawn battles they had with the outgone administration of President Muhammadu Buhari was that there was the issue of whether they would then be on the IPPIS or they will use their own develop them UTAS platform. And it was one of the major issues that caused the rift between them and the federal government, and it appears the issue is still on ground. I was expecting that when the candidates were putting out their programs for during the campaign for election last year, I was expecting that the ASU would have interacted with the leading candidates and would have known and be able to judge those, the candidates that were probably in support of their plans. You see, because if we keep quiet when people are to be elected into office and allow them to be elected before coming out to now say one or two things, I cannot understand this. Also, you will also remember very well that a key component of the high-neck hard dog staff in this country is occupied by members of ASU. So if you people will be heavily involved in the process,
they serve as returning officers.
Exactly. Even the announced elections, I've forgotten what state collation officers. They announced, they declared these things. If you people will be involved in this process and you cannot map out a candidate that will dance to your tune in the best interest of the educational structure of the country, then I don't understand what miracle, what magic you want to perform when a person is elected and you are not even sure of where he stands on your policy. Now, 1 year into the government again, it appears the ASU issue again will rise up. And so for me, it's just like we are just going around the cycle again. And then when you go on strike, then government takes you to court, and then you come back from the strike, and then you begin to grumble, and then it goes round again.
Well, maybe because almost everybody is the product of this, environment, and you already know what's up and how it goes. And it's only sad. Silas noted that the federal government had, paid 4 months out of about 8 months of outstanding salaries remaining 3.5 months. Let us hope they get, to talk and have a common ground there.
All right,
Hopefully.
now, okay, Mr. Henry, we're still discussing education matters now. The NEL Fund has postponed application for state facilities by 14 days. What do you think of this?
What did you call it?
The NEL Fund, the management of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
they postponed. They announced
no
a 14-day postponement of the application process for student loans for state institutions. And according to them, they say that it is due to low data submissions by the state facilities.
Yes, I thought I saw a news some weeks ago where the Senate President said so number of students are already benefiting from the loan and the rest and so on. I think that's how we deceive ourselves a lot in this country. from immediately this president was elected in May 2023, it was probably the following month that we heard that a bill was going to be signed into law. And you signed a bill into law, critical components of how you to be established, we left it undone. All government institutions started increasing their tuition fees left, right, and center, even without the taking off of the so-called student loan program. And then now, 1 year after, we say we have taken, we want it to be, it's taken off, and now it's being suspended again. Because I think some of these things should have been properly thought through. I think there should be a proper plan. I mean, our Nigerian leaders must not try and give the impression that they don't know what they are doing or they cannot organize. These people organize to win elections, or crying out loud. These people organize national conventions. These people organize, some of these people allegedly organize how to rig elections.
Maybe,
so tell me why.
Maybe it is the citizens of the country who are not so organized like politicians.
Of course, because now, but this is a program that is being run by government, and why government cannot wake up again and be saying that there are issues here and there are issues there, when already students and parents are already paying through their noses to go through federal government-owned institutions, left, right, and center. Right. I think these things are not fair. I think government should set out its plans properly before rolling them out, so that it is not rolled out to fail.
All right. The National Assembly, is to get the supplementary budget on Thursday. That's tomorrow. And of course, this morning, Senate President Akpabio has said that the Senate is yet to approve new private jets. Where are we heading to now? And from where will the money be coming from? Borrowing or the coffers of government?
Yes, thank you, and that's why I'm completely against some of the so-called enlightened economic policies of the World Bank institutions like IMF and the rest. They know how to mandate our government to remove subsidies that are pro people, in the name of saving the economy. But they don't also know how to ensure that our government leaders do not use monies borrowed to get unnecessary luxuries. It's always as if they are only there to ensure that things are difficult for the masses of people, but things are convenient for leaders. Because if I get correctly what is happening in the country, the bulk of what we are spending is being borrowed. And it appears in the amount of money that this administration have borrowed in the first 1 year, it looks like it's going to set a record. If it continues at this rate, by the end of its tenure, this administration will set a record for borrowing in the country. We are already past over 100 trillion already. Now, and if in the midst of all of these borrowings, what is priority for the National Assembly and the presidency is buying new private jets, it just tells us that there is a problem. And don't be surprised. The existing ones, probably maybe they are not in good condition. Don't be surprised that those existing ones will have been provided for in the budget.
Though,
Money will be spent on them.
though, Mr. Henry, they also, added that some, tools, or let me say jets, have been listed, for sales as well. Well, but let's look at the safety of our
This is not
number
the
one
first time.
citizen. What about the safety of
This
the
is
president?
I will come to the safety of the president. Now, this is not the first time we heard that the presidential fleet will be sold. It is not the first time. Mark Barry has said it. He said it that time during the Good Luck administration. He bought particularly one particular private jet, Falcon 7X, one of the new products in the world at that time. Within about 3 or 4 years, that product Falcon 7X was granted all across the world because there was a so-called a
General
default
fault.
in manufacturing. Yes. Now, so my question is, all these things, even though we say they are not probably working or they are not working as they should, they are already in the 2024 budget. Money is being spent on them. So, and I tell you, all these sales we are talking about is just all the government should also tell us how many jets are in the presidential fleet, how many are working, how many are not working. Why are we still retaining them? Now, for the safety of the president of Nigeria, I think nobody is after the life of the president of Nigeria. As far as I'm doing, he's one of the most protected people in Africa, as far as I'm concerned.
We can't be too sure.
In Africa. No, I'm he's one of the most protected people in the sense that he already has enough security, and there is nothing wrong in going through commercial flights. In the meantime, if that is the price we have to pay for governance,
All right.
if that's the price, or chartered flights, or limit the amount of travels. Sometimes it's not all of these travels that the president needs to go on. I tell you, if we are being serious and if we understand the gravity of the economic situations that we're facing us as a country.
All right, Mr. Henry, now let's quickly talk about traditional rulers. Now, recently there have been issues on traditional rulers, considering the one in Kano State recently. And I remember 2 days ago, the vice president said that traditional ruler, most especially the Sultan of Sokoto, must be protected. And despite denials by the state government saying there are no moves to dethrone the Sultan of Sokoto, we read this in the news that the State House of Assembly passed into reading the first and second reading a bill seeking to reduce the powers of Sultan. Now, do you think
we'll have governors who will unseat the president? Because as things stand, these governors in their various states, when you ask them for good governance, we're not in control of this. We're going to find that these governors deny the local government of autonomy. They are in the court now with the federal government, in the Supreme Court. These governors will be continually, they are always at the neck of traditional rulers, and they want restructuring. My question is, what kind of restructuring do they want? What idea of democracy? We need to ask all our governors there. Thank God they have a forum. What idea of democracy do they want? Or what idea of true federalism do they want? Do they want a system where nobody is recognized but them? Nothing moves but them. That's the issue. And to top it all, they have immunity. They have immunity. So, and it appears the power of the governors keep growing on
Day
and
by
on.
day.
And as a matter of fact, yes, as a matter of fact, there is, as far as I'm concerned, it appears to me as if for the governors, there is, if you look at the way they are operating now, it appears they are started growing into more of, as far as I'm concerned, tendering towards abuse of their offices.
Okay.
And there's a general fixation on what happens at the national, whereas most people ignore what happens in their various states. Governors are not doing enough as far as the country is concerned. But you hear them left, right, and center fighting against the power and authorities of traditional rulers, which I think, for me, it can be a call for anarchy.
All right, as we wrap up in just 30 seconds, what are your views about Governor Yusuf? He has actually approved 5 billion naira fertilizers for Kano farmers, as he also commits 1 billion to transform health sector.
As far as it is a good one, but I think we need to also look carefully at what the governor of Niger State is doing. It appears he's doing something revolutionary. I hope he's able to get through with it. He's mapping out 10,000 hectares in probably 100 locations within Niger State. in collaboration with some foreign company like that. If all governors can take a cue from that and we can look into it, in within 2-3 years we would swallow up food insecurity. There will
All
be
right.
abundance, and the people will be better for it.
All right. And as we, in sober reflection, as we mourn the senior custom officer who died, yesterday, I guess maybe you would agree with us that that's a call on everybody, to respect what the doctor says. Come for checkup.
Yes. I think it's a very important one. We cannot, just because we can stand up on our beds doesn't mean that it means that we must periodically do this test.
All right.
Check ourselves, blood sugar level, check all of these things, so that we don't have sad tales like the ones that happened recently.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Henry Olonimoyo, for speaking to us this morning. Have a nice day.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
All right, the studio lines are open 00555511110 or 0706677182. Let's have your take on some of the stories we've read this morning.
And of course, you can as well drop comments for us on Facebook. It will be read now or checked upon after the program. Studio line 0805 551 1110. 0805 551 1110 and the standard line 0706 677 1822. 0706 677 1822. We read quite a number of headlines this morning. We also said that 950,000 women at risk of maternal death in Zamfara. That's coming from Zamfara state government as the commissioner speaks from Goso. And of course, all the headlines have read this morning. We said CBN will use conventional methods to tame inflation. That's confidently coming from Cardoso. Equally from the leadership newspaper, Senate mourns late custom deputy controller Etom Essien. And Makinde makes minor reshuffle cabinet reshuffle being made in Oyo State. Also, from Punch newspaper, court orders Emefiele to forfeit $1.4 million bribery proceeds.
And also, Naira continues to depreciate. Now, Naira is now 1,500 per dollar. And also, the debt management office gives reasons for Nigeria's debt increase by 24 trillion naira. That is very alarming.
All right, from the sporting segment, of course, Lampard speaking on Euro 2024 reveals the player that England are missing. He thinks the likes of Luke Shaw are missed at the moment. Shooting Stars open contract talks with Gumbote, and Rangers adopt Green Food Ladies team. Nacho names his favorite footballer of all time, and of course, you are more Madrista than anyone. Vinicius reacts as Real Madrid players leave club.
And in addition to that, in Euro 2024, 10 teams have qualified for round of 16 in the ongoing Euro 2024.
All right. Of course, hopefully we get one call before we go. And of course, some of the confirmed teams for the 16th round. Switzerland will take on Italy. Germany will face Denmark both on Saturday. England will equally face the team that finishes in the